One of our participants, cancer survivor, a young adult in her 30s, had lung cancer. So just a little over a year ago in August. And when she started training this past January with us, she could barely walk a mile. And we trained every Monday night and every Saturday. We would climb steps and buildings, up and down, and just do hikes and all sorts of things to try to get ready for Patagonia. And not only could she walk a mile, she was amazing. She was like first after the guides every day getting to the next place. We walked a total of 58 miles in the 5 days of the hike, and she was a rock star.
This is Associations Thrive, the podcast celebrating successful associations and their leaders. I'm your host, Joanna Pineda, CEO and Chief Troublemaker at Matrix Group International. Listen in as top association executives tell all, revealing the creative and innovative ways they're increasing membership, generating revenue, nurturing engagement, and reimagining their organizations. By the way, if you've launched a new initiative, created new member services, or updated your governance structure and are seeing great results, I want to hear your story, and so do my listeners. I'd love to have you as a guest. Go to podcast.matrixgroup.net and apply to be on Associations Thrive. Now let's dive into this week's show. Today, I'm speaking with Alissa McKinney, Executive Director of Above and Beyond Cancer. Alissa, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Joanna. It's so great to be on the show today. Thanks for having me.
Listeners, I met Alissa on a flight to Chicago a couple of months ago, and we got to talking. And for those of you who follow me on LinkedIn, you know that every once in a while I'll post the most interesting person on the plane. And I'll post a picture and maybe a snippet of some of the things that we talked about. And Alissa was absolutely delightful. So I said, let's have you on the podcast. So Alissa, tell us about Above and Beyond Cancer.
Yes. Well, Above and Beyond Cancer is a nonprofit in Iowa, and we provide mind, body, spirit programming for anybody on their cancer journey. So we identify someone as a cancer survivor from the day they were diagnosed. So that could be someone in treatment, that could be someone after treatment, and that could be someone that is living with cancer, which a lot more people are living with cancer now than ever before. Plus, they're caregivers. And we feel like caregivers are an important part of that too. They take on so much during a cancer diagnosis and are there to really help their loved one. And we want to be there to support them too. So any given week in the greater Des Moines area, we provide free programming such as hiking, yoga, aquatics. We have a row and renew class, that's erg rowing, and even had a group of 4 breast cancer survivors in the Des Moines Regatta this fall. We do pole walking. We have recovery and renew. Lots of programming around how to help an individual with their diagnosis and or their caregiver. And we work directly with health providers to make sure it's okay for this individual to participate in programming. We do a health assessment on them and figure out what would be their best entry point with us. We would never want to put someone with cancer in an awkward position or in a position that they could hurt themselves. And they go through a 12-week program, whatever that determination is. Like it could be aquatics. If there's a lot of mobility issues, aquatics is a really safe place to start. Or it could be someone that's maybe a little stronger that starts right in with pole walking. I didn't even know what pole walking was, but you walk with sticks in a different way than you hike with sticks, but you walk with sticks. It's really good for balance and for core. And I can attest that it is a very good workout as well. And so after that 12-week session, we do an assessment on them. So we have some post results, see how much stronger they are. And then we encourage them to get involved in other different programming. We have our medically evidence-based programming. And then we have what we call our community program.
Alissa, I want to dive back into something that you just said, which I find really interesting. You define a cancer survivor as someone who's anywhere in their cancer journey.
Correct.
I find that really fascinating and quite lovely because I think of a cancer survivor as someone who somehow has a clean diagnosis, someone who's in remission, but you don't. Why is that? Why is that important?
Well, and honestly, it's the true definition of survivor medically is someone from day one that is diagnosed with cancer. So when our founder, Dr. Deming, started the nonprofit, that term was really important to him, that he considers everyone a survivor from day one. Now, that journey looks different for everybody, but it is a much more positive message and how you think about it, rather than only thinking as someone that's a survivor that has a clean bill of health right now after cancer treatment. So it is a really lovely distinction. I agree with you. And I think it gives hope, which is really a large part of what Above and Beyond Cancer is here for, is really provide hope.
Alissa, if I've got cancer, knock on wood, I don't, and I say, wow, I need to make sure that I maintain my health, I could go to the gym or I could join the Y.
You could.
So what makes doing a program with you special?
What makes it special is, number one, we work with your health team, whether that's your nurse navigator, your social worker, your medical provider, to make sure that you are cleared to do different types of exercise. And then we do a pre-assessment and a post-assessment. Through that, right, we can really determine what's helping you get stronger, what's helping you have better outcomes. There is starting to be a lot more studies along that idea that people who exercise, even during treatment, and that could be stretching, that could be chair yoga. I'm not talking running a marathon, that they have long-term better outcomes and lessened reoccurrence compared to someone who doesn't. There's an interesting study that I'd encourage you to see from the New England School of Medicine, came out in July, and it was two groups, colon cancer, and one group exercised, one group didn't. And the difference between reoccurrence and healthier outcomes is very evident between those two groups. And so that's how we were founded from the get-go, like this belief that we know exercise helps, yes, your body and your mind too, and all that plays a role into better outcomes. So that's really how we started, was that philosophy.
As if we needed more evidence that exercise is medicine.
Right. Because, the old days used to be like, oh, just rest during treatment. Don't do anything strenuous. That used to be the philosophy of how you handle going through chemo, for example, how you handle going through radiation. Now, once again, like I said, we always have to make sure that it's safe. But if it's safe, it's good for you.
We got a lot to talk about when it comes to Above and Beyond Cancer, but I want to turn to your journey. So how do you get to become executive director of this amazing organization?
Yeah, I'm lucky. For many years, I was in charge of the fundraising at our children's hospital here in Des Moines, Blank Children's Hospital. And 18 years of being in charge of that gave me a great perspective and understanding of the healthcare community. Certainly have made a lot of friends, a lot of acquaintances over the years in that space. But after 18 years, now that I'm in the later part of my career, I wanted to do something different. So I actually took a 9-month hiatus and went and worked for a for-profit company, because I thought, I'm going to work for a for-profit now, because I basically have always worked in nonprofit. And after 9 months, I waved the white flag and I said, this is not bringing me joy. And I'm too old to not love what I'm doing. I owe something different to myself. So this job was open. I had thought about it, actually applied on the very last day because I just wasn't sure. Because in my mind, I was not necessarily wanting to do fundraising specifically again. This job is because we're a small organization, the executive director slash fundraising. So I knew I would be really back into that space, but I applied and they hired me. So I was very fortunate. I've always known about the organization, but did not fully understand the scope of everything that we did. So it's been a real joy this last almost 2 years to learn more and more about everything that we do, all the programming, all the participants and folks that we help, hear their stories, go on a transformational journey and see what that experience is like. So it's been an honor to end up here. And I would like to say I would like to end my career doing this.
Alissa, give us a sense of the organization. How many staff? What's the budget? And what's the fundraising component that you're responsible for? I mean, I used to be a fundraiser, and I know how challenging that is.
Yeah, so we are 4 full-time employees. Up until a few years ago, everybody was part-time. Nobody was a full-time employee, I don't think until 5 years ago. So that has even changed. We have myself as the executive director and fundraising. We have our operations manager, but also operates our hotel program. We have our program director who's in charge of all our programming, all the free classes that we do around the community and working with those instructors and volunteers that help us with those classes. And then we have our director of mission delivery, which is our events, marketing, outreach type person who is, putting us up on socials and planning all our events and helping us get out there. So we're a small, mighty team. We're all women. So we're very strong. We'll probably expand next year. So that will be exciting to add another person to the team. And we're looking forward to that. When I think about the fundraising you asked about, we raise around 1.1 million a year. That's our goal this year. Within that goal, then, is also to make sure that we're covering all our programming, everything we're trying to do, and then start thoughtfully thinking about growth. And we're really in that growth space right now of, as Dr. Deming says, where do we want to be when we grow up? And we are looking at what does that look like for us in the future? And we're going to do some extensive planning around that early 2026.
Wow. Well, let's turn to Above and Beyond Cancer. During the prep, you gave me a pretty startling statistic. You said that Iowa has the second highest rate of cancer in America.
That's correct.
Wow. What's happening in Iowa?
Yeah, it's not just one thing. We just in October had the Iowa Cancer Summit where they pull together all the cancer community and we kind of learn what's going on and we learn more about the studies being done. It's basically a perfect storm in Iowa. Iowa has very high radon levels in our ground. That's, of course, nothing we can control. All you can do for that is to make sure that you test your radon levels in your basement and see where that's at. We just retested ours and now we're just a tiny bit over what's acceptable. So we'll have to mitigate, which is basically what is the only way you can protect your loved ones is then to mitigate. So we have a high rate of radon in the state. We, of course, are an agricultural state. So, we do have water and ag issues that add into that as well. We have no laws against people like minors using tanning beds. That is something that would be important to do as we get older, to at least not have teenagers in tanning beds anymore. We also have a lot of people that smoke. We have high obesity and we have high binge drinking. So, like I said, it's a perfect storm. We cannot point to one thing. The sad part is we continue to rise. Most states, even if they're high, they're actually decreasing their rates, and we're not. So we're going to be really curious to see what the cancer report says in February of 26 of where we stand. and just having more conversation around that. There's a lot of concern. There's a lot of conversation in the state. And I would anticipate that that will continue until we get to a point that we start getting those levels back down. Now, if there is good news in that percentage, is we do have high survival rates or people living with cancer. So that is positive. At least we have good treatment available. We just, of course, want less people diagnosed.
Right.
Less people getting cancer.
And it's because of organizations like yours that people go on their cancer journey with support.
Exactly. We're really in that survivorship space of once you're diagnosed, we're not a preventative organization. I mean, we encourage people to do all their testing and make sure they're doing all the preventative things they can do. But we're in the space of survivorship. And what does your cancer journey look like? That's where we can come in and provide resources that can make a difference, whether that is the actual classes we do, whether that is the hotel program that we provide free hotel rooms, or if someone goes on one of our amazing journeys, you can play into that space. Because we are a rural state, we are looking at ways to be able to provide more programming into rural Iowa. And we have a pilot program right now going on in a county to the west of us that we're working with their cancer center, their YMCA. What programming could we bring to them and help the folks in their area?
Well, talk to me about the transformational journey, because this sounds amazing.
Is amazing. So that's how Above and Beyond started. Was Dr. Deming and a group of friends had this idea to take cancer survivors and caregivers to the Himalayas. They went to Everest Base Camp, the first journey.
Wait, hang on. That's not an easy journey.
No, Dr. Deming believes in suffering. Through suffering comes growth. So they went to the Himalayas, a group of 30 people back in 2011. So next year will be our 15th anniversary. So that first group went, and even though I wasn't involved in the organization, I was at the hospital here in Des Moines, and I totally remember them going on that trip. It's a distinct memory I have. But we pulled together people that want to challenge themselves.
Oh my God, yes.
And get through that challenge and be on that other side. So I was fortunate enough to go on the journey that we had in April. We went to Patagonia in Chile and hiked the W Trek. There's lots of suffering stories I can share, but I can share some beautiful stories of one of our participant, cancer survivor, a young adult in her 30s, had lung cancer. So just a little over a year ago in August. And when she started training this past January with us, she could barely walk a mile. And we trained every Monday night and every Saturday. We would climb steps and buildings, up and down, and just do hikes and all sorts of things to try to get ready for Patagonia. And not only could she walk a mile, I mean, she was amazing. She was like first after the guides every day, getting to the next place. I mean, we walked a total of 58 miles in the 5 days of the hike, and she was a rock star. The most special part of that track is getting up to the Torre de Paines, the towers. And that's a hard day. That was like 12, 13 hours that we were hiking. And we're not dealing with much elevation. I mean, like 8,000 feet. Not like they will in the Himalayas, but her hiking that, when she reached there, she just burst into tears. She was just so proud of herself.
Wow.
That's what's amazing to see, is the difference that made to her, because she knew she could hike again. That was something that brought her joy prior to her diagnosis. I mean, she was thinking she wouldn't be able to do that anymore, but the journey taught her that she can do that and do a lot more.
Well, the journey taught her that she could still do hard things despite a cancer diagnosis, that somehow she's burnished by the experience.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yep. Even though you get that bump in the road, right, you can still get through it. So it was just really special to be part of that journey. We had a sprained ankle. We had a dislocated finger, and one of our hikers had a hike with her hand up the whole time because she had a ring and we couldn't get the ring off because her finger was so swollen. And we didn't want to try to cut it off because, we're remote.
Okay, note to self, no rings when you're hiking.
Yes, no jewelry is what I would say. But it was really fun. So next year, we're actually going back to the Himalayas, not to base camp. We're going to Annapurna, but that will be a big challenge. That's like 17,000 plus feet, just as high as base camp.
Holy. Do you go on every single one of these?
No, I don't. And I will not go on the one in April, unfortunately. It's 3 weeks because just the travel alone and to get acclimated, that's just a little long for me to be gone right now. But we have a group of 25 survivors and caregivers that will be going, and it'll be hard. It'll be hard. And you're not seeing plush accommodations either. You're camping,
You're suffering.
you're suffering. Yes.
But you'll come out on the other side a different person.
Yeah, you do.
Alissa, you've got something kind of on the opposite spectrum, which is your Celebrate Gala, which is not suffering, but joy and fun. So tell us about that because you just had it.
We did. We just had our Celebrate event last Thursday. And I really think we're celebrating all things above and beyond cancer. And it is a night where we have fun. We might shed a few tears, but people feel really uplifted when they walk out the door. So this year we do a special award every year that we honor another individual or an organization that is helping the cancer community. Not that they're helping us. I mean, there could be a connection, but it doesn't have to be. It's really about people out there helping others in their cancer journey, whatever that might be. This year, we honored an organization called the Sparkle Run, which flips back to my life when I was at the Children's Hospital. The Sparkle Run came out of the need to raise money. A young girl, her name's Erin, she was diagnosed with cancer, leukemia, and she got an infection and died very unexpectedly, and it was heartbreaking. Before she had died, she had decided our playground at the Children's Hospital was no fun. And she had asked her mom, how could they raise money or how could they get a new playground? And Becky reached out to me and we had this conversation. So this is like 15 years ago, at least. Then her school, Erin's school, after she died, decided they wanted to do a run or a walk to honor Erin. And they thought because she was a 5th grader, so this would be like the last hurrah of her class altogether celebrating Erin. Well, like over 1,000 people signed up. They had to move it. So come forward all these years. They have supported many different organizations in town, including Above and Beyond Cancer and our young adult program, because Erin would be a young adult now. And we honored that organization. But that, for me, was really special, selfishly, because I have known Becky. Becky actually has been on our board at Above and Beyond Cancer, but I knew Becky from the time when Erin was first diagnosed. And so it was really special to honor her. So that was lovely. And then we had a guest speaker. And the guest speaker this year was Annabelle Gurwitch. She's an actress and a comedian, and she had the room in stitches. So everybody was excited after she was done talking. So it was a really great night. We raised good money for us and set a new record, which, you always love to say as a fundraiser, which
What I'm getting from this conversation is that you have people living with cancer, but somehow you're bringing them together in community and bringing joy to their lives. I'm hearing a lot of joy here and community.
Yes, community is very important to us. We're definitely not your typical support group, but we're a community of support. And that's very evident as you go to classes, like I'll go and observe a class. That group is so connected to one another and are asking each other how they're doing. It's not sitting around a room, in a circle and everyone talking, but it's just people being true, and being in the moment of really talking about how they're doing, and they just have little side conversations, and it really is a special community. And in fact, I said that last week, like, this is what community looks like. And, our founder, and then Mary, who's also part of our team and program director, has really been with the organization from the beginning, in very part-time at first. Now she's a full-time employee, but their passion and their growth of how they envision this organization and how they wanted to be there for people on their cancer journey in a different way, that was created a long time ago by those individuals that have really made this organization what it is today and what it will continue to do, and then how we grow going forward.
Well, that's all amazing. Alissa, it's December 2025. What are you looking forward to in 2026?
Well, we're celebrating our 15th anniversary.
Congratulations.
Yes, we're very thrilled. So we're going to do a lot of fun things this next year, from participating with the Des Moines Ballet and doing a special event around one of their ballets, to the Transformational Journey to Annapurna. And then the most exciting thing, I think, for next year, honestly, is we are going to have the first ever in Iowa Survivorship conference.
Oh,
So it's a one-day conference in June that we will be hosting here in Des Moines, and individuals can come. And it's really going to be a day of learning, a day of community, a day of coming together as cancer survivors and caregivers, and learning more about some of those hard things that happen during your cancer journey, whether that's nutrition, whether that is sexual health, whether that is anxieties that individuals have. So we're going to have sessions, speakers, we're going to have vendors, invite other nonprofits from Des Moines who help the cancer community to join us, and just have a really great day, but also do some fun above and beyond cancer things. So we'll probably have a little 5-minute meditation or 5 minutes of chair yoga, interject what is above and beyond cancer throughout the day too. So we're super excited about that. And we feel it's a needed opportunity for folks in Des Moines or in Iowa, but it'll probably be predominantly people in the greater Des Moines area, but we do hope to grow it over a period of time as the years go on, because we do think there is an appetite for pulling people together in this way and creating that type of learning community together. So we're really excited about that starting this next year.
Alissa, you got a big year ahead of you. We'll have to have you back. I am so glad I sat next to you on the plane and asked about you and your work. Thank you for being on the show.
I am so glad you did too. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Associations Thrive. We're so glad to have you here. My personal mission and the mission of my company, Matrix Group International, is to help associations and nonprofits increase membership, generate revenue, and thrive in the digital space. I want to hear stories of how your organization is thriving in today's challenging landscape. Please apply to be on my show by going to podcast.matrixgroup.net. By the way, do you need help with a digital initiative? Maybe it's a website redesign, a new membership database, or a hybrid meeting that you're planning. I'd love to connect with you. Please visit the Matrix Group website at matrixgroup.net. Thanks again for listening to this week's episode of Associations Thrive. Don't forget to subscribe to the show, leave a 5-star rating, post a comment, and share it with your colleagues and friends.